What's up YouTube? Capital G here, reshooting this video because I kind of messed up on the boss Idolan monster. I don't want to spread misinformation. I don't want people thinking that a card works a certain way when it doesn't, because not everybody reads the comments in my video, even though I do, because you know there will be people who try and test these cards on like YGO Pro or Def Pro, whatever, and they're like, why aren't these cards working? Cap said that it did this and then it doesn't work like this. So figure just go ahead, clean slate, make the video again so there's no misinformation being spread. All right, so these are all cards in case this is your first time seeing this video from Booster SP Fusion Enforcers. I like this set a lot more than Booster SP Destiny Soldiers because I don't know, I'm not too much enamored with the new Destiny Hero support, but that's just my opinion. So let's start off with Greedy Venom Fusion Dragon, which is this guy right here. In my opinion, the artwork looks much better than Star Venom, and this is the second form of Star Venom, which should be no surprise to anybody because all the Dimension Dragons have two forms. Dark Rebellion has Dark Requiem, Clear Wing has Crystal Wing, so it should be no surprise that obviously Star Venom is going to have a second more powerful form. This guy's level 10 Dark Dragon, 3,300 attack, 2,500 defense. Stat line is a-okay. Stat line is actually, I would say, impressive. Summoning conditions: one predator plant plus a dark monster whose original level is 8 or higher must first be fusion summoned or Yugo shokened. Okay, so I don't like the fact that they locked this into requiring a predator plant monster, mainly because the other Dimension Dragons don't have any type of summoning conditions that lock them into whatever the anime character plays. Like, you don't need Speedroids to summon Crystal Wing. You don't need Phantom Knights to summon Dark Requiem, so I don't understand why they felt it was necessary to lock this one into Predator Plants. It would have been cool if I could summon this and Lunar Lights, which if it was just a Dark plus a Dark monster whose original level was 8 or higher, I would play this card in Lunar Lights. I would totally be willing to give up like a Panther Dancer plus another monster to summon this because I think this card is pretty powerful for what it does on your turn anyways. And yeah, I just think that that's kind of weird. Now the Dark monster, you know, being a level 8, that is not really that hard, mainly because Predator Plants do have a card that lets you use your opponent's monsters that have Predator counters on them, and it treats those monsters as dark. So basically anything on your opponent's side of the field that is level 8 or higher that does have a Predator counter, you can use because it counts as dark, whether it is dark or not. Plus you can use monsters from your hand, unlike Star Venom. So I don't know, it seems like Star Venom is just like the worst of the 4 Dimension Dragons, and his big version is kind of like the worst so far. All right, so let's move to the effect. Effect number 1, you can target one face-up monster on the field. Its attack becomes 0. Its effects are negated. These changes last until the end of the turn. I have no idea why this is not a quick effect. If you look at Crystal Wing, he negates effects. He's a quick effect. If you look at Dark Requiem, he's a quick effect who negates effects. Like, there was a clear pattern with the Dimension Dragons, and for some reason, Star Venom just went completely off course, and I don't know why that is. But the other Dimension Dragons, their second forms are quick effects. So why wasn't this a negating quick effect? It just doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, this card can do a lot of damage. You can just negate a monster and do 3,300 battle damage, but it just would be nice if it could protect itself. Second effect, if this card is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, destroy as many monsters on the field as possible, minimum 1. Then banish one level 8 or higher dark monster other than this card from your graveyard. Special summon this card from your graveyard. I mean, that's really cool. It's a dark hole. Basically, when it gets destroyed and goes to the grave, it will blow up your monsters, so keep that shit in mind. And it basically can get summoned back for freezies if you happen to have a level 8, which you probably will, considering you had to use something to summon it unless you use your opponent's monster. It coming back from the graveyard is really cool. I just really wish that it would have been a quick effect on the first one. Like, if this would have been a quick effect, it would have been so much better. All right, now let's look at the Eidolon monster type. This is a brand new monster. Some people are calling this the Final Fantasy type. I'm not gonna lie, I have Final Fantasy 13. I've beaten it. Like, I love this game. I totally forgot that these are, what's it called, that the summons in the games were called Eidolons. I think because I didn't use them that much. Like, I used lightnings, because lightning has Odin, which, yeah, it turns into it's a knight that turns into a horse, and then she rides it. Like, and I think Snow has, doesn't he have Shiva and it turns into a motorcycle? It's been a while since I played Final Fantasy 13, but yeah, I think he has Shiva and she like turns into a motorcycle, which is fucking awesome. All right, let's look into the Eidolon archetype, and of course they're fusion based because everything had better be in this damn set because it's called Fusion Enforcers. All right, so for starters, they have Alistar, the Eidolon Summoner. All right, another mistake that I made in the video is This card is not considered to be an Eidolon beast. The Eidolon beast so far just seem to be the actual fusion monsters themselves, but this card is still really good. It's a level 4 dart spellcaster, 1,000 attack, 1,800 defense. The defense is actually very relevant on this card because it's kind of similar to Spellbook, Little Blue Boy, Spellbook Magician of Prophecy. During either player's turn, you can send this card from your hand to the graveyard, target a fusion monster you control. For the rest of the turn, it gains 1,000 attack and defense. Based off that effect alone, I thought that you could splash this card into Shadows because it's a spellcaster and it's dark, and all Shadows are spellcasters and dark. So if you ran Goes in Match or Rivalry, there'd be no conflict. And obviously, like, Shadows are inherently fusion based. So yeah, I kind of think that this card could be splashed into Shadows for anybody still running that. Effect number 2, if this card is normal summon or flip face up, there's that Blue Boy similarity. You can activate this effect, add one Eidolon summoning magic from your deck to your hand. So obviously that's going to be their fusion spell, and that's cool. I mean, anytime. That is also not once per turn. I just realized that the second time I looked at this card, it's not once per turn. That's interesting. Konami locks once per turn into everything, and now it's like they're taking the once per turn training wheels off of a lot of cards. All right, then we have Ryin, the Eidolon beast, which can be seen right here. Artwork on these cards looks really cool. I like the artwork. So he's 2,200, he's 2,400 defense, he's a level 5, he's win. He requires Alistar, which is the card we just talked about, the Blue Boy, I guess you could call it, the spellbook magician of this deck, I guess. He has similarities. Plus the win monster. Once per turn during your player's turn, you can target one face-up monster on the field, change it to face-down defense position. Basically, they should have just said Book of Moon. You know what I mean? It has Book of Moon built into it, but it is once per turn, which is fine because Book of Moon's a limited card. I have been wanting this in just so many. Like, I want this in so many cards. Like, Book of Moon is still a fantastic card. I definitely learned that at the regional. Being able to stop an attack, being able to reuse flip effects. Again, this could work perfectly in Shadows. They're all flip effects. Put your monsters face down and just constantly use, you know, Squamatas and Falcos and stuff like that. Maybe this is supposed to be like indirect Shadow support. I think this card is fine, and it requires a win monster. We don't know all of the Eidolons yet, obviously, but they do have a card that lets you use your opponent's graveyard, so I guess we can kind of circumvent that a little bit. Plus, I mean, as splashable as fucking Speedroid Terratop is, like, I could easily see people just splashing in some Terratops because people splash Terratops in everything now. Junishishi and Burning Abyss and Phantom Knights and you name it. Then we have the actual fusion summoning card itself, the fusion magic. It's called Eidolon Summoning Magic. Normal spell card. You can only use the second effect once per turn. Effect number 1, fusion summon one fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand as fusion materials. That means that you can summon non-Eidolon monsters with this card. If summoning an Eidolon beast fusion monster this way, you can also banish monsters from your field, your graveyard, or your opponent's graveyard as fusion material. This is cool because I can't really think of any cards that let you use your opponent's graveyard to summon your fusions. At worst, this card is like a Miracle Fusion, which is a card that I still think has not been power creeped. Miracle Fusion is an excellent card, but at best, I mean, use your opponent's shit, which means I guess in the mirror match, this card must be like the best card, definitely, because just eat up your opponent's stuff. All right, effect number 2, if this card is in the graveyard, you can target one of your banished copies of Alistar, shuffle this card from your graveyard into the deck, and if you do, add that monster to your hand. That's kind of crazy because if this card is in the graveyard, it can technically become a +2 because you put this card back into your deck and then you add Alistar to your hand. So there's a +1, and then you normal Alistar and then you get summoning magic right back. So there's your +2. So that's pretty cool. I mean, just ways of reusing your Alistar, and I'd imagine it shouldn't be that difficult to get Alistar banished because Ryin can banish Alistar. Then lastly, we have our boss monster, which is the card that we messed up on, definitely. It's called Alistar, the Eidolon beast. It's a level 10 light fairy. It's a fusion effect monster, 3,200 attack and 4,000 defense. That fucking ass though, like that butt is just almost unnecessarily big. Oh, this is a much better picture than the other one. Okay, so this must be this is the boss monster right here. Yeah, I should have used this picture for the thumbnail. I'm gonna have to change that. All right, so it requires an Eidolon beast monster plus one monster that was special summoned from the extra deck. All right, and must be fusion summoned with the above fusion material. This is where I messed up on. So you cannot use Alistar to summon this. You can only use Eidolon Beasts. Eidolon Beasts are obviously the fusion monsters. So this card doesn't seem to be the easiest thing in the world to use, but the deck does have a Miracle Fusion, and a lot of people were pointing out that Elder Entity Norden should definitely help a lot, or just simple things like Castel would kind of have dual utility. Like if you make a Castel, you can use it as a win monster when it goes to the graveyard, or I guess you could use it on the field, or you can use it as a monster that was special summon from the extra deck. Effect number 1, while this card is face up in the monster zone, this card is treated as Dark Earth, Water, Fire, and Wind attribute. I wonder if there are there more ways to exploit that? I figure there are more cards that kind of work with that. I just can't think of any of them off of the top of my head. Effect number 2. Once per turn during each player's turn, you can target one Eidolon Beast monster you control or have in your graveyard. Banish that monster, and if you do, banish all monsters. Banish all monsters your opponent controls with the same attribute as that monster. All right, so we only know about 2 Eidolon Beasts. We know about Ellison, and then we know about Ryin. So if you banish the Ryin, your opponent would lose all of their win monsters. So I guess if you were playing against like Speedroids or Magispectors, that would be super good because this does not target, and obviously it doesn't destroy, it just banishes. Or if you're playing against a light deck, you can just use this card, and you can just, like, if you're playing against, I don't know, randomly Lightsworn or something like that, and your opponent had a whole bunch of light monsters, then you could obviously just use this card and then just banish all your opponent's shit as well. And honestly, that might be pretty decent. I think it looks like the direction that Konami's going with this archetype is almost like a Shadow kind of mix, where I'm saying like they're going to, all their fusions might be different attributes. Like they're probably going to get like a water fusion and a fire fusion, because it really does seem like Ellison requires an extra deck pool of a whole bunch of different attributes. So don't be surprised if they get like, you know, if they get like a dark fusion, or if they get like a water fusion or an earth fusion, because it would kind of just make sense at this point. So again, sorry for the mess up in the first video, but I hope you guys did enjoy this video, or tell me what you guys think of the Eidolon archetype, and subscribe if you have not already.